I come back and get you.
All right, good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
All right, good. I want to make sure everything is good and set and ready to roll this morning, because we talking about some wealth, and I'm here. All this other stuff, you know, when you start, you want to come up, got it out the way now. But I just really, you know, been on the road the last week and a half, and you know how your eyes just get open, and you kind of get comfortable because you just see what's around your neighborhood. You just see what you're doing. You know, and once you step out to Boston and New York, and we weren't really in Boston, we were in Westwood, so it's a whole nicer, plusher area, you know, and I'm just looking, I'm like, these folks is living. You understand me when you say living?
Yeah.
And the difficult thing that I go through is when I know I have some information that can show a person how to do some few steps, and then they can live happily ever after, legitimately. And if you can just put yourself in my mindset sometimes, I sit there and people will look at me, you know, like we're in this, like, you know, they take trains everywhere. So we go from the plane and get off the plane, get on the train, and they sit there like, Brother Paul, you all right? They're like, yeah, man, I'm just in deep thought. I'm like, why is it that these individuals who usually don't look like us are living at this level, and it's normal and expected?
Yeah.
Then you go to another side, excuse me, and all you hear them talk about is what the government is not doing for them, and how things have happened. And I'm like, you know what? We can't live off that excuse no more. We just got to start. You know, sometimes if somebody threatens you, you know, anybody been threatened before? Threaten somebody so much to it don't matter. If you know you're gonna get whooped, you know what, man? We just need to get this fight over. You know, and we at the point now where you just need to go ahead and get in and swing and get the fight over with, because we have a future that's way greater than our past. So I want people to truly get well. And another big thing I see, you know, we're doing this thing called Circle of Sisters, and it's like everybody was there. I mean, I was like walking around in the green room with stars, and I'm doing all to keep my composure. You know, I don't celebrate man that much, but I'm just like, man, it's B2B. You know, for Martin, you know, I couldn't even think her real name, you know, to Sheena Arnold, but I'm like, B, what is her name? You know, but she's all that for real. And in person, you know, when you see Tamia, y'all know Tamia? Yeah, God, Lord help me. Pray my strength in the Lord. I just stayed in my ring. Frank Hill ain't gonna be mad at me. Greg ain't gonna be mad at me. Then Angie Stone walks through and I'm like, look at the lips. I'm like, just one kiss. The lips, you got the kind of lips that you just want to come on. Give me some sugar, girl. You know, so you have fun. And we do this thing, and Steve Harvey is on, and he kind of goes over time and all that, and they did the Family Feud, and it was hilarious. Steve is actually a nut, you know. And half the room cleared out, and now you have myself, 4 other authors of books, all speaking on finance. The guy, Dr. Randall Pickett, who won The Apprentice. I don't know if y'all remember season he was on. He's there, and I know all these people's gonna be there to get their. Sharon, I can't even think of her last name, but she's a head finance person for CNBC. So we're all there, and I'm just like, everybody is consultants on how to make millions or millionaires, etc. And you're watching this, like the joy and the laughter went out, and we watched 7,000 people trim down to a few thousand, which is still great. But it just, when the room cleared, and it's like now we got the financial council and the financial panelists are coming up. And I'm just like, wow. And it just hit me. I'm like, people are oblivious. So I'm like, you know what? If they just want to laugh, okay, let's laugh all the way to the bank then. You know, but we got to be mindful. And it educated me to say, you know what? We have to speak to people in parables to get them to understand the way Jesus got them to understand that there is more going on here than meets the eye. Yeah. You know, and when you can drive down the street and you don't drive too far in New York City, but you're seeing phantom after phantom, those Rolls Royces and Bentleys, and you see that it's normal, you know, and you see the guy with the driver, see, I want one so I can drive. Somebody else is doing that good where they, excuse me, they got the car with the driver. And I'm just like, well, see, I get the driver, let just give me the car. You know, so, but the whole thing is, when you're walking in penthouses, I start thinking about the Jeffersons and different strokes with the Drummonds, and you're like, oh, this is where they were. You know, and you're looking at all of this wealth. And I'm like, it's a shame that there are people who make $2 and $3 million per month. Wow. And there are people who are struggling in the same world to make $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Yet, here's the crazy thing. There is no rule that says the guys in 2 or 3,000 can't be making the 2 to 3 million a month. So what happens is we self-inflict by grabbing hold to yesterday's Jim Crow laws and bring them into today's freedom. And then we say we can't do it. So I really, you know, a lot of folks gonna miss out because I studied on this training because we about to get into it. We got a lot of do our thing today. You know, but it's really about getting people to understand and be educated on how to become wealthy. And that's my mission. And, you know, not saying I need to be revitalized, but it just made me, you know, just get so focused and motivated that I remember the PR guy said, "Wally, where are you promoting? Are you promoting the book or JMG Network? Because you're talking about JMG Network." And I just told him, I said, well, the book is really just an overpriced business card. If you look at it from that standpoint, it's your entry point. If you go in and say, hey, this guy owns a home business and he can help people start, that doesn't have value. You say, oh, this is an author of books. They're like, oh, come on, like tomorrow at noon on the East Coast, I'm on an ABC show called Here and Now. So as long as they don't edit it out, half the show I'm talking about JMG Network and showing people how to work from home. You know, and from there, I'm seeing that we're getting a lot of emails into the corporate office where people are saying, okay, I need to learn how to work from home. I need to learn how to do this. And simply, every time I was speaking, what they didn't realize is I was talking about the My Financial Wealth product. But most didn't get it. So I'm saying today, I want to make sure that we as leaders understand that when we see certain press stuff out there, all that is credibility. That's just say, hey, if you want to meet the guy that's on that ABC show or the guy that's in that online magazine, and now it's a new world that most major shows are actually online blog shows, you know, which I got educated on. We went to this one building in New York, but still on 7 Square, where it's ABC, CBC, and all that. And all it was rooms half the size of this, and folks in cubicles with a camera set up, their computer, and you sit right next to them, and you're broadcasting across the world because of the power of the internet. Wow. So it's why they were complaining about the big companies when the Olympics came on. They're saying people already knew the results because of the blog shows. So they were waiting while NBC and the rest were sticking to a schedule. Everyone else had already had the information. So it's what educated me on that the chains and the things that normally would stop people from getting the information because of what controls the media. Do you realize that that stuff doesn't exist? The powers are there, the gatekeepers are there, but we can now go and research and find the right information. So I've said it before, I said it at Freedom Conference, my goal is to create millionaires in JMG Network. After being out the last few weeks and doing the interviews and signing little autographs, whatever you want to call it, I came back home, I'm like, there's no reason why we shouldn't accomplish our goals. So everything about success now is, I remember talking to Mr. Marquise Williams, if he's online, you know, he was asking me some questions. I just said, you know what, Marquise, at the end of the day, it wasn't that I wanted to do a home-based business. I actually wanted to be a millionaire, period. And we have to really think about that. You always truly become what you actually want to become. And once I identified that I actually wanted to be in that level of living, and that I was not going to compromise my integrity because I love my mother too much. At the end of the day, I wouldn't do anything illegal because I didn't want to embarrass my mother. Other than that, I had the heart to do it. I just was too afraid because she might find out. And I realized that alone says, okay, that's parenting. Because I was more afraid of my mother's feelings than I was of the police or anybody else. You get the difference? But now here we are today, and I'm just saying, you know what? I did it simply because I wanted to do it. That means I was not afraid to go to a total stranger and say, hey, how you doing? Spark a conversation. And just ask them a simple question. I didn't ask them, hey, do you want to be in JMG Networks? No. I just asked them, do they keep their options open for making more money? When that answer came yes, I hand them a card and I would inspect the card. You get that? Then from there, they give me a card and say, man, we need to sit down and have lunch. We need to sit down and have coffee. And go from there. But when you're anxious, because you know, when you caught up and you got to get this much money and you got that bill due tomorrow, you get in a pattern or a habit of being anxious. So you function in anxiety of how am I going to pay this next bill? How am I going to pay this next bill? Whenever you're functioning in anxiety, you're not thinking clearly. And whatever stops you from thinking clearly also stops you from making the right decision to create wealth. So from there, when people can see a comfortable, laid-back, positive person with posture that says, oh, I know this is going to work. This is what we're going to do. You know, you're telling them, this is what we're going to do. This is when you get in, this is what I'm going to do for you. Because most people don't know. So I realize I've always said, you know, don't tell a person, get your people and call me. Because you got to realize, that's your money. So you're saying, let's get your people and get me on the phone with them. You get the difference? All it is a little switch of words. You know, you don't want them speaking because I realize that I would have said, you know, to the person who brought me in, I'm going to get you on the phone with my Uncle William. You talk to him. I already know my uncle. He's going to eat that person up. So I was setting them up anyway. Like, well, you can talk to him. It's like he broke me off when I first called. So I had to go and succeed a little. And the next thing you know, this man was telling other people about my service. But until I showed a different character and a different attitude. So in other words, he knew me, but he only knew me as the rapper, the boy that danced around and played at his house and was always borrowing money from him. You get people have a certain image of you. Just because you start up in this business, which is the same as coming to Christ, just because you made that decision at that moment, nobody else knows you made that decision. The only way they'll know is through your walk. So I want us in here to be the leaders of the new free society of wealth creators. Y'all get this?
Yeah.
So pay close attention to what my dear friend and brother is about to teach. And then I'm excited to come back up and teach as well. And as I always say, please do not take this individual for granted. It's one thing I know as a top earner in the company, after so long, people just say, oh, that's so-and-so. You know, and it's like, no, whenever, a lot of times he foots the bill for the meeting rooms and all this stuff for everybody. You know, whereas technically the way it's supposed to go, everybody splits it because everybody is in business together, not one person doing it. Do you understand that? Because we are all business owners. So as we grow, I want to transcend everybody into really working as a board to support each other, to say, what can we do to make our Tuesday night meetings greater? Did y'all enjoy the food and all that Tuesday? Yes. That was on him. You get that? You know, the hotel ain't like, yeah, take these wings, take this, take that. You know, at the end of the day, they're tallying up. But it's for us to get an example of saying, many hands lighten the load. Because technically, if 10 people were to put $30 a week to say, you know what, this is my business. We're all bringing guests in. You can do that every week. People come in, the new guests are coming in who are rookies in the game. They can just sit back and be like, you know, I went to this company's meeting, I went to that company's meeting, but them folks with JMG Network, they have a different standard. You get that? When you're speaking to people about wealth, I don't care. I wrote it in my book, Who Told You You're Broke. It's not about the money in your pocket. Most of the times when people are starting something, doing something, they don't have any money, but they have passion, they have excitement, they have belief in them. And that's what people draw into, is your passion, your excitement, and your belief. That's all you need to qualify to be wealthy. Passion, excitement, and belief. People will see it, and from their actions, they'll start doing it the way you do it. You know, so we're going to work together as a team. We will create millionaires in this company. And we're not going to play that game of overtime. We're going to do it now. You understand that? It's no rule. There's no law that says you can't. The only rule is the law of numbers that God put in place anyway. If you follow these steps, you get these results. So all you have to do is do it faster then. That's it. So without further ado, because I love talking anyway, I'm going to give it to my brother Lockett. Y'all stand on y'all feet and welcome Executive Senior Director, top money earner, and everything.
Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? Y'all doing well?
Yes.
Well, you know what, I woke up this morning, I'm truly thankful for that. You know, today is another day, another opportunity to get closer towards my goals and my dreams. Today is another opportunity to realize the move and the power of God through me. So never take that for granted. You know, that's my mindset and attitude when I wake up in the morning. And so Brother Paulie did a teaching this past Wednesday that really just stuck in my spirit. And he gave an illustration about a monkey, how they capture monkeys. You know, they got this show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, right? Mm-hmm. So my question is, are you smarter than a monkey?
That's right.
You know, they want to say that, you know, man evolved from monkeys. Well, if that's true, why are there still monkeys?
Yeah, right.
But anyway, that's another topic. But my question is, because in the illustration, they talk about how they capture these monkeys. And the way they capture them is that they set a trap. And because it's so focused on what's in the trap, and they don't want to let go of it, they remain captured. Mm. And so, drawing a parallel, what are you holding on to that is so small, that is keeping you captured, that you're not willing to let go so that you can receive greater? Because that becomes a pattern of life. Even though we're not physically holding on to something through some hold, we don't see it because it's a matter of holding on to an old mindset. It's a matter of holding on to an old way of living. They're still not producing the results that you want, but you're so afraid to let go of it to receive greater because at least you know what's in your hand. At least you know what you have your grasp on. So to let go of it creates some anxiety and insecurity because you're letting go for the unknown. But again, you're still not where you want to be. And what really got me to thinking along this line is the mindset of some people that we deal with. So as I go through this training, some of it may apply to yourselves, but more so to the individuals that you're addressing and dealing with. Because at least you have the wit about yourself. At least you have the commitment about yourself to be here this morning. So give yourselves a round of applause. Because even though you may not be building at the speed that you want to, you're still committed, you're still connected. See, too often people unplug themselves from the source. But they need what the source has to give them. But they unplug prematurely because it doesn't happen in the time frame in which they want it to happen in. Well, again, as an entrepreneur, because that's what we are, Brother Paulie said, business owners, we have to have a business owner mindset. And a business owner mindset says that, you know what, I'm working towards a future. I'm willing to forego the present because I'm working towards a future. That's where that belief comes in. That's where that commitment comes in. That's where that consistency comes in. Because you're working towards a future that you can't see now. But you believe that is there. But you're going to forego what you can see right now to get what you can't see in the future. But your future is greater than what you can see right now, even though you can't see it. That's where the faith comes in, that you connect your faith with your future and then you do the work, believing that the results are going to come. See, an employee mindset is just the opposite. I can only believe for what I can see right now because I need what I can see right now. Not that you don't need what you can see right now as an entrepreneur, but you understand that you're creating something. See, an employee is not a creator. An employee is a follower. So as an entrepreneur, you're creating something that's going to bring you dividends in your future. So therefore, you have that passion, excitement. Because think about it, you know, when you see something that nobody else can see, and you begin to do the work in order to create it, it gives you some sense of satisfaction on the inside, right? Regardless of what everybody else don't see, you see it. So you got excitement about it, right? You're committed to it. Then when you completed that project, then other people can see it. They say, oh, now I see it. But you saw it the whole time.
Right.
That's how you have to look at your business. Others may not see it. Your other business partners may not see it because we all have a different reason why we're building this business. So what I'm building my business for, you may not be able to see. And what you're building your business for, I may not be able to see. But what we have in common is that we have something that we're working towards that's real to us. So let's look at this video that I have here to illustrate it more so for us.
Les Babouins ont toujours une réserve d'eau cachée.
Y'all
C'est
got
un secret
the
qui
cipher
ne
the
révèle
lane
jamais à
spirit.
personne. Parfois, un chasseur Magalégadi s'aventure dans le désert, mais il ne sait pas, comme le bushman, extraire l'eau des racines. Heureusement, il a sa propre technique tout aussi efficace. Lorsqu'il sait qu'un babouin observe, ce qui ne manque jamais d'arriver car les babouins sont très curieux, il creuse laborieusement un trou dans une fourmilière. Puis il met les grains de melon sauvage dans le trou et les fait tomber au fond. Il se retire alors, sachant que le babouin est mort de curiosité. Mais le babouin se méfie des hommes. Il joue les indifférents. Et il brûle de savoir ce qu'il y a dans ce sacré trou. Il n'y tient plus. Il faut qu'il sache. Il glisse la main, prend la poignée de grain, et le poing refermé ne peut plus sortir. Il lui suffirait de lâcher les grains pour libérer sa main. Mais quand il y pense, il est trop tard. Voilà une manière astucieuse de capturer un babouin. Il reste à le faire parler. Le chasseur a apporté du sel, très rare dans ces parages. Il sait que son prisonnier va se jeter dessus comme sur une friandise. Et le babouin avale tout, oubliant qu'il est en état d'arrestation et qu'il n'y a pas d'eau dans sa prison. Et le chantage commence. Le lendemain matin, le Magalagadi vient voir si le prisonnier est décidé à se mettre à table. Le lavage de cerveau a été efficace. Le chasseur relâche le babouin. Il sait que ce dernier va courir à son réservoir secret sans se soucier d'être filmé.
Now what I want to do is I want to interpret that video. Because to me, that represented corporate America. That represented the way that a lot of people live their lives. So you saw the establishment, the big structure, right? Where the trapper had, dug out a hole and put some incentive in there. And then once the monkey reached his arm in there, what was in there was more attractive and it kept him captured Then the Bushman came along, and even when he was coming, he still didn't let go of him, which allowed him the time to put that noose around his neck. Then he tied him to a tree, and he observed him. Then he fed him some crumbs, you know, to appease him. Then he just sat there for his amusement and watched him to let him go. Well, the way I interpret that is that there's a lure out there that people are attracted to. And somebody else is controlling it, that's placing that lure out there and just sitting there and watching people and observing people for their amusement and feeding them crumbs, whatever they desire to give them, as though this is what you deserve. When Paulie was doing, you know, his intro, when he was talking about, you know, this is the expected way of life for this group of people, that they expect and believe that they're able to live on this high level. What's so sad is the opposite is true. That this other group of people expect, and more so even desire to live at this lower level because they accepted that as the way of life. And that is truly a tragic story. That's just like this monkey being trapped. Now, they're not physically putting their hand into something, but it's the lure of something that they see themselves not being able to obtain by going a certain route, that they've been educated and trained to believe that the only way I can get is by hook or crook. Either I got to sell dope or I got to rob somebody. You know, I can't go to school, get a good education, and, you know, get a good job, or, you know, I can't see myself owning my own business. You know, the only thing I can see myself doing is hustling out here in the streets. And we know that that creates a certain cycle of life as well. And it begins to become a generational curse. So I see ourselves as the Bushmen coming to loosen the noose on the necks of people, being able to release people so that they can truly discover what they was created to do. So we have to understand certain things about the people that we're talking to, the mindset. So like I said, you know, some of the people, some of you may be thinking along this line. You may be guilty of some of the things I'm going to discuss this morning. But because we're smarter than a monkey, because we have the ability to think and make decisions, you can always turn your situation around. That's what a lot of people don't realize, is that they have the gifts, the power within themselves to change the situation. A person walking around in hopelessness doesn't see a way to get out. That's why this company, this business is the solution. And that's just not a cliche. That is something that was by design created, because that is something that is designedly real. That is something that people need to pay attention to. So let's go to the words, and that's the foundation which I stand upon, Ecclesiastes 11. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a servant to 7 and also to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. See, too many people just have a narrow vision. They don't, you know, diversify themselves. That's just like putting your hand in that one hole, you know, corporate America, thinking that by me working a job is going to give me the security in the future that I desire. Because they pay you enough, you don't let go. Because you have confidence and security by you directly putting in 40 to 60 hours a week, you get a paycheck, you don't let go. But you don't realize that it's nothing but a trap keeping you stuck. So therefore, you need to diversify yourself. And that's why we talk about, you don't have to quit what you're currently doing, but do something else in conjunction, in addition to what you're currently doing, until your B plan becomes greater than your A plan. But how many people are just stuck in that one position, that one hole, where now they're discovering that there is no security there? People are retiring, not able to retire because they don't have enough in their retirement. When we look at, you know, the political arena, you know, the great debate over Medicare,
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have elderly people that can't afford the medication that they've been taking for years. You know, they can barely afford to pay for food, housing expenses. So people really need to wake up and begin to, you know, let go of that little so that they can receive the much. So if the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or the north, in the place where the tree falls, there shall lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. Now, what triggered this scripture to come to my spirit is that let's be clear about it. This is for business owners, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Training is for those that are in the business. Because we will have people that will come in our midst that say they want to become a part of this company, then don't make the commitment and still want to go through the motions as though they're part of this company. Then what we begin to see is a pattern where they play the waiting game. Well, I'm going to wait to get my 3 people before I sign up. My question is, where is the logic in that reasoning? Because think about it. If I'm telling you I'm waiting to get my 3 before I sign up, then you're going to say, well, I'm going to wait to get my 3 before I sign up. And then there are people they're talking to say, oh, well, I'm going to wait to get my 3 before I sign up. What happened? Nobody signs up. But then they're going around talking as though they're part of JMG. But they never became a part of JMG. And because they're so dependent upon the next person getting their 3 people, then they get rejected. Then what happens? A domino effect. They all fall down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I tried that business, but it didn't work for me. You know? No. Just because you talk about doing the business doesn't make you a part of the business. What makes you a part of the business is when you make that commitment and you sign up. Then it triggers a different mindset. Now I'm actually a part of something. Now I've actually made an investment into something. Now I am committed to this thing. Other than that, it's not a commitment. Other than that, they're not a part of this business. Mm-hmm. So therefore, the trainings are only for representatives only, okay? Because if the conditions aren't perfect, they'll never do it. They're waiting for the conditions to get perfect to get their 3 people. But their people are waiting on them to get committed so that when they speak to their people will feel the commitment from them and it moves them to action. Mm-hmm. I mean, how weak does it sound to say, yeah, well, you know, I want you to try this product. And they say, well, tell me your experience with the product. Oh, I haven't tried it yet. But, you know, it sounds good to me. So I'm just going to recommend it to you. Yeah, right. I'm not going to be your guinea pig. Right. You see the difference? So as you do not know what is the way of the wind or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child. So you do not know the works of God who makes everything. In the morning, sow your seed. In the evening, do not withhold your hand. In other words, keep sowing and working. For you do not know which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. So again, diversify yourselves. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say. Therefore, continue to work diligently at both. Continue to sow seed in both, because you don't know which one is going to prosper. But if you just have a narrow vision and you just put all your eggs in one basket and you betting the whole farm on one thing, and that one thing does not produce, then that's when all the depression, all the anxiety, all the stress comes out. Isn't that what we're seeing in society today? A person get laid off from their place of employment, then they go back and shoot the place up. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they put everything into this one job. Companies are hitting it hard as well. They're having to make tough decisions. But should that impact your life? Because That is their system, right? That is their business. That is their vision that they created. As an employee, you don't have a say-so. But as a business owner, you have more control. So therefore, by creating your JMG business, gives you the position, opportunity, and control to build your own business, which gives you your own say-so. So if this person had been diversified, when they let him go from his job, I'm speaking of the gentleman that went there and shot the folks up in North Minneapolis, then he would have said, thank you for the promotion. Now I have more time to devote to my own business. But rather than that, he went back there, shot the place up, and killed himself. There's a spirit loose that is trying to keep people in bondage. So be smarter than a monkey. Let go of that little. Let go of the little, because the little isn't enough to provide for your current needs as well as your future needs. Because one of the things that, we've talked about in this group is the fact that inflation is constantly increasing. So therefore, your job isn't rising at the rate of inflation. So therefore, you're always behind the 8 ball. You're always struggling to make ends meet, because that's the way that system is designed, to keep you stuck, keep your hand in there. Because they know that you at least have a security of that job, that paycheck, as long as they continue to give you those crumbs. But you have to learn to let go, because you trust and believe in that something greater is outside of the confines of that system. So truly, the light is sweet, and it is pleasant for the eye to behold the sun. But if a man lives many years and rejoices in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they will be many. All that is coming is vanity. In other words, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But the scripture says that it's all vanity anyways. Meaning that it doesn't matter about the houses and the cars and the clothes. All that is vain. But the bottom line is, what type of life do you want to live now? Do you want to live a stress-free life? Do you want to really enjoy this life to the fullest? Or do you want to struggle? And you're going to have many dark days anyways. But isn't it nicer to be able to enjoy, in the luxury of a nice home or a nice car? To be able to have your bills paid off, your debts paid off? So what the scripture is saying is that we understand that, money does answer all things, but it's the love of money that is the root of all evils. But Jesus said, I come to give you life and life more abundantly. So therefore, what he's saying is that it's okay for us to prosper. It's okay for us to experience heaven on earth now. But when you're stressed out and you allow the cares of this world to choke your dreams out, then you never become fully what it is that you was created to become. So therefore, you must be willing to do something different than what you're currently doing. You must be willing to let go of that little so that you can receive the much. Because at the end, it's all vanity anyways. But don't you want to leave here knowing that you left a legacy? So that the next generation, your seed, has to step up in life? That they don't inherit the same struggles that you went through? That you made a decision, that you drew a line in the sand? That you did some work so that you created a different ripple effect? That's what's going to live on. Other than that, clothes, moth, devour your clothes and they go out of style, you gain weight, you lose weight. But it's nicer when you don't have to stress about life, about money. Think about it. You have greatness in yourselves. You have gifts and talents. You have the ability to create wealth. So since you've been endowed with the ability to create wealth, why is it that you stress about finances? You have to learn how to release those gifts and talents.
That's right.
You have to learn how to sow that into the proper environment that will allow those gifts and talents to bring forth the fruit that's already within yourself. You know, the word says that, you know, every tree will bear fruit of itself. That you have the ability to reproduce the gifts and the talents within yourself. You have the ability to reproduce the desires of your heart. So why isn't it that people are actually doing it? I would say because of holding on to that little bit and allowing fear to keep them trapped, where they're afraid to step out. But again, we know that every success story is dipped in dark days, dipped in struggle, dipped in others' doubts and disbeliefs that it was possible. So let's talk about procrastination, because this is huge. Because I would labor to say that people allow fear and procrastination to keep them from achieving what it is that they truly desire out of life. So 10 things to know. Is your procrastination hindering you? There are many ways to avoid success in life, but the most surefire just might be procrastination. Procrastinators sabotage themselves. They put obstacles in their own path. They actually choose paths that hurt their performance. I got it. This is huge, because I always tell my guys, you know, that it's not a fear of failure, but it's a fear of success. Because with success comes greater expectation. So long as they're able to continue to keep the label of being an addict, then they're expected to function low. But once they begin on the path of success, you know, gaining their sobriety, getting a job, starting to, you know, come up in life, now there's a higher expectation on themselves and a higher expectation of others on them. So then the fear of success, because now they have that pressure on themselves. So long as they low functioning, there's little pressure. You know, if you actually spend some time with a homeless person, you'll discover that they was on Wall Street, they were successful, you know, CEOs. The pressure was too great. So as a homeless person, now they don't have no pressure. The only pressure they got is, you know, what bridge they're gonna sleep on. Where they gonna go to the shelter to get a hot meal. So they escape the reality. But, you know, my saying is, you know, ask God for a wider shoulder, not a lighter load. Because I understand that there's a mandate that we have, each and every one of us, that we have to have dominion over this earth. That a good man or woman leaves a heritage to the children and the children's children. So therefore, don't be afraid of the responsibility, embrace it. Because the word also says he'll not put more on us than we're able to bear. So therefore, why take an escape from your responsibility that you can't escape from anyways? Just because you think you take a vacation from it, does it make the situation go away? No, it compounds, making it more complicated and difficult. And it robs others of what it is that you have stored inside yourselves. So 20% of people identify themselves as chronic procrastinators. For them, procrastination is a lifestyle, albeit a maladaptive one. It cuts across all domains of their lives. They don't pay bills on time. They miss opportunities for buying tickets to concerts. They don't cash gift certificates or checks. They file income taxes returns late. They leave their Christmas shopping until Christmas Eve. How many of y'all can check off 3 or 4 of these on this list? it becomes a way of life. It serves a purpose. What purpose is that? It gives them an excuse. Number two, it's not trivial. Although as a culture we don't take it seriously as a problem, it represents a profound problem of self-regulation. And there may be more of it in the U.S. than in other countries because we are so nice. We don't call people on their excuses. My grandmother died last week. Even when we don't believe it. And I had a gentleman call me yesterday. He's renting a property from me. For 2 months, his check didn't bounce. Soon as it bounces, I call him. Oh, I'll come right over there. You get a cashier's check. Second time, I call him up. In fact, I called him. He didn't answer the phone. He called me back. You're probably calling me about the rent check. So that tells me you already knew. But I know you knew when you handed me the check. See, I used to play those games too. Oh, I don't know what happened at my bank. It was a bank error. They messed up, you know. And I'm sitting like, this is the way that he functions. He's always late. He always has an excuse. He doesn't pay his bills on time. Talk a good game, but then his actions are something different. So he calls me wanting a favor. Can my son move in? No. He's just like you, I'm sure. I'm not going to open up that door. But that's the mindset of people that you deal with. They'll try to give you excuses. You know, well, this happened on Tuesday night. That happened on Tuesday night. I wasn't able to make it to training because of this, or I wasn't able to, you know, talk to anybody about the business because of this excuse.
Right.
But excuses are tools of incompetence, which are used to build monuments of nothingness. And those who use them seldom amount to anything. So don't use excuses. Procrastination is not a problem with time management or planning. Procrastinators are not different in their ability to estimate time, although they are more optimistic than others. Telling someone who procrastinates to buy a weekly planner is like telling someone with a chronic depression to just cheer up. So, if they read the book Schedule for Success, it may not or may have an impact.
Right.
Number 4, procrastinators are made, not born. Procrastination is learned in the family. Milu. Is that how you pronounce that? Huh? Milieu. But not directed. It is one response to an authoritarian parenting style. In other words, a dictator. Having a harsh, controlling father keeps children from developing the ability to regulate themselves, from internalizing their own intentions and then learning to act on them. You know, this is probably so true in my own life. You know, sometimes things happen, or things happen for a reason. You know, as a child, my father was always in and out of prison, in and out of treatment program. You know, I resented it. I was angry. You know, I wanted him to be there. But then as I became an adult, I began to wonder if he had been there, would my life be different? Mm-hmm. Would I not have had to take the initiative to be more of a leader? Did I have to learn to do things on my own so that I learned to stand on my own 2 feet and not in the shadow of my father? So therefore, you learn to accept, you know, what is true in life, but it's a matter of what you make of it. So don't despise your beginnings. Understand that that was part of, you know, the process of making who you are. But then it becomes a question of, do you want to allow your past to define who you are, or do you want your future to guide you to the person that you can be by doing something, by taking control of your life, rather than being like a monkey and just doing things instinctively? But we're human beings and we have the ability to reason and make decisions. So you just have to make a different decision that you want to do something different with your life. You know, I had to make the decision that I wanted to break the generational curse. So therefore, I can't repeat the mistakes of my father in my children. That begins to change the chain of events in the process. Procrastination can even be a form of rebellion. One of the few forms available under such circumstances. What's more, under those household conditions, procrastinators turn more to friends than to parents for support. And that's scary. You know, when you think about the children of today, you know, where they're getting the information from their peers. And we wonder why we're seeing folks on subways dressed like women, and we see, you know, young men in college dressing like women with dresses on. You know, we see young men walking around, you know, acting and looking like women. That's against the natural order of God. But if they get the information from other misguided individuals, what are they going to come up with? Misguided information. So their friends may reinforce procrastination because they tend to be tolerant of their excuses. Number 5, procrastination predicts higher levels of consumption of alcohol among those people who drink. Procrastinators drink more than they tend to, a manifestation of generalized problems in self-regulation. That is over and above the effort of avoiding coping styles that underlie procrastination to lead to disengagement via substance abuse. Rather than dealing with the fact of failing, they'll try to coat it with some substance, alcohol or drugs, in order to deal with the reality. And then it becomes a pattern. That's where you have that addictive behavior and personality. And this is the way I describe addiction. It's a void and emptiness that we all have within ourselves. And if you don't feel that void and emptiness with the love and compassion of Jesus Christ, then you're trying to seek it outside of yourself. Whether that be through work, whether it be through alcohol, drugs, whether it be through sex, whether it be through any external thing. But because it's outside of yourself, then you have to keep doing it over and over again in order to feel that emptiness that you feel within yourself. That's what creates that addictive personality. So it doesn't matter what the vice is, but the consequences are always the same. And that's how they define addiction, is based upon the consequences, the losses that you experience. You know, loss through finances, loss through relationship, loss through employment. Loss is loss.
Right.
It doesn't matter what causes the loss, you're still without it, right? Number 6, procrastinators tell lies to themselves, such as, I feel more like doing this tomorrow, or I work best under pressure. But in fact, they do not get the urge the next day or work best under pressure. In addition, they protect their sense of self by saying, this isn't important. This isn't for me. Y'all heard that one?
Yeah.
I had a young man tell me that the other day. I'm sorry, I just had to blast on him. Because I knew he was giving me an excuse. I'm telling him about the services and, you know, explaining about the business. And he wants to tell me, oh, well, I don't need help with my budget. My credit score is okay. I said, well, you should always be, you know, conscious and concerned about your credit score. If it's okay, it can always get better. I said, but, you know, currently when you file your taxes, do you get paid to file your taxes? No. Well, I just can't see how this is going to help you. Well, you know, did you really listen to what I was saying in terms of the business? So you're telling me that you're okay okay financially, that you don't need any more, sources of income coming in. No, I always do. Well, then why aren't you listening to what I'm saying? I said, when you have a successful business owner that already owns a multi-million-dollar business, trying to give you some advice, and you telling me that you're all right, are you already financially free? No? Then you need to pay attention. Right. Other than that, what are you saying? You're telling me you broke. I got a solution, but you telling me that you're all right. That don't make sense. So I got a call this morning. The young man been calling folks, and he planned on coming to the meeting Tuesday because something sparked in him. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, like, you know what? Let's not play this game. I said, I don't want to waste my time nor yours. You know what? My time is invaluable to me, and I'm sure yours is to you. So let's not play. If you want to make some money, you need to open up your ears and listen. But how many people do you talk to because of false pride say that they can't see themselves doing this type of business? They can't see themselves, talking to somebody about bettering themselves financially. The tools that we have within the My Financial Work are things that are on the tops of everybody's mind in America, because everybody has to do them. So what is it that they have a problem with? They don't have a problem with promoting some business, some restaurant, some movie. That's all we're saying that they need to do through this. You ain't got to quit your job. I got this brother hounding me down to pay $2,500 to get some brochures done. And I'm saying, like, man, you need to come on with me. Because you keep calling me because I know you pressed, but I'm trying to help you make some more money. Well, I just ain't got the time. Okay. I know you pressed, but what are you doing is occupying your time that doesn't allow you to see other opportunities that can produce. Because I ain't talking about taking something from you. I'm trying to add something to you. So I said, you know what? You want to do business with me? I want to do business with you. Now, you need to take a serious look at what I'm doing. Because what you're talking about, we're talking politics and all kinds of stuff. So I'm saying, like, you know what? I know, because I've been dealing with you for years, that you have a need. I have a solution. Humble yourself to get the information. Okay, well send it to me. You know what? I can't do that because I had to break it down to them. Very simple. It's just like talking about a restaurant. I said, through the course of your day, now the time that you have spent talking to me about politics is the time you could have been spending building some income through your business.
Right.
Oh, you're right. I said, because I ain't saying quit your job. All you need to do is follow the 2 steps. Get you 3 people. Show them how to do the same thing. Plug them into the system and let the system work for you.
That's right.
I said, as a result of that, I'm enjoying this Cadillac Escalade as well as some other benefits. Oh, man, that makes sense. Now his ears is perked up. Because other than that, he wants to give me that cliche, generic response. I ain't got time. But if I would have just accepted that excuse and didn't go a little deeper because of my conviction about what it is that we have and what we do, then his initial response would have been enough just to keep me at bay. And sometimes that's what people do. Number 7, procrastinators actively look for distraction, particularly ones that don't take a lot of commitment on their part. Checking emails is almost perfect for this purpose. They distract themselves as a way of regulating their emotions, such as fear of failure. How many people just come up with those little excuses? Because they really don't want to put themselves out there to have to do something so that they can be found out that they really don't have it. They rather put those safeguards in place so that it gives them, that cushion and say, well, I just can't see myself doing those things. I just don't have the time. Number 8, there's more than one flavor of procrastination. People procrastinate for different reasons. Dr. Ferrari identifies 3 basic types of procrastinators. Arousal types, or thrill seekers, who wait till the last minute for euphoric rush. Avoiders, who may be avoiding fear of failure or even fear of success. but in either case are very concerned what others think of them. They would rather have others think they lack effort than ability. Decisional procrastinators who cannot make a decision. Not making a decision absolves them, procrastinators, of responsibility for the outcome of the events. These are the types of individuals that you will run into. So you have to begin to identify them. And I would say this is a huge one. They rather have others think they lack effort than ability. Because you have, high respect for individuals that you have a relationship with. But in their mind, they may say, man, you know what? I would probably be terrible. I would probably suck at that. So rather than you finding out that they really suck at it, they rather tell you, oh man, I can't see myself doing those things. Or I tried one of them and it didn't work for me. Or I don't have time. That's why I always said people will project onto you their doubts, their disbeliefs, their fears, because they can't see themselves being successful at it. You have to recognize that spirit, because you don't want to receive it. Because again, you're working on your reason on why you're doing this business. And as an entrepreneur, you could never allow anybody to have that control over your future. If we did, any successful entrepreneur, we wouldn't be a successful entrepreneur.
That's right.
Because in order to overcome, to break out of the mold, to break out of the pack, you have to think unlike the group. Because the group will always try to hold you within the group. Because who are you to dare to think that you're different than us? Who are you to dare to think that you can break out of this?
Right.
Who are you to dare to think that you can live at a higher level than me? So therefore, you recognize that people will project onto you so that you don't do something because they don't want to be discovered and found out. Number 9, there are big costs to procrastination. Health is one. Just over the course of a single academic term, procrastinating college students had such evidence of compromised immune system as more colds and flu, more gastrointestinal problem they had insomnia. In other words, it eats you up. It will destroy you from the inside out. And the reason why is because there's something on the inside of each and every one of us that is screaming to get out. And when you use avoidance tactics to keep that stuff pushed down because of fear, because of procrastination, it's going to eat you from the inside out because it's got, think about it, from the inside out. It's got to get out. It's got to get out some way. Because God watches over his word to perform his word. Because there's something on the inside of each and every one of us that is not just for our own benefit. That there are other people that are waiting on us to discover our purpose in life. Because their purpose is tied to your purpose. So if you allow your purpose to be stuck on the inside and not allow it to come out, it creates a void. So God is trying to say, you know what? No, let it come out. So then they don't feel good about themselves. They don't rest easy at night. They toss and turn and struggle all day long because their destiny is screaming to get out. In addition, procrastination has a high cost to others as well as oneself. It shifts the burden of the responsibility on the others who become resentful. Procrastination destroys teamwork in the workplace and private relationships. If you're not there to carry your weight, that means that somebody else has to carry a greater load. Like Paulie said, it will be easier to divide the responsibility over 10 rather than 1. And how much easier is it for 10 people to give up $30 than one person to give up $300? That's what teamwork is about. So when one of the team members doesn't carry the load, it creates a greater burden on the rest of the team. That's why the name of my group is Team Up to Win. Because that's the mindset. We have to team up together in order to win together. You know, we all win when we all win. That's my motto. Not just that one succeeds, but that we all win. Number 10. Got to go. It probably came in with me. Man, the house was full of them. The outside of the house, and they was getting in on the inside, the box handlebars. Oh, you know, I live out there in the woods and stuff, man. It's like the whole back of the house is just covered with these things. I mean, they don't do nothing but just annoy you. You know, they don't fight and then they just fly around. But man, let's fight my little buddy. Number 10, procrastinators can change their behavior. This is hopeful, but doing so consumes a lot of psychic energy. And it doesn't necessarily mean one feels transformed internally, but again, it can be done. Why? Because we're human beings. We have the ability to reason and make decisions. You just have to make the decision and then commit to that decision. And when your old mindset tries to pull you back, old familiar friends try to pull you back, the word of God says by the renewing of your mind. You have to renew your mind daily. In that mindset of being a procrastinator, I talked about being successful requires you to be consistent. When you vacillate, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you're going nowhere fast. So why wake up in the morning and thank God for another day? Because I recognize it's another opportunity to better myself.
Right.
It's another opportunity to start over. If I did something wrong the day before, I still got breath in my body to change the situation. So never get discouraged. Never get, hopeless thinking that it cannot change. So long as you got breath in your body, God is able to move. So long as you got breath in your body, you're able to change and turn your situation around. Don't get discouraged. People make the mistake when they sin that they run from God when they need to run to God. David, man, he's my hero of the Bible. Why? David wasn't perfect. When David sinned, he went to God and he said, against thee alone have I sinned, and asked God to forgive him. Then he wouldn't go back and repeat the same sin. God said, this is a man after my own heart. Not because he was perfect, but because he understood that David loved him and feared him and would run to him rather than from him. Don't run from your problems. Run towards a solution and deal with your problems. This business isn't a burden on you. This business is your solution. This business is your future. Don't embrace it as though it's a financial burden because of $29.95. If that's a problem, then you need to get active and excited about your business. Go out there and build it. Once you see it as being that simple, guess what? God will honor that. The universe will honor that. People will honor that. Why? Because they see something and feel something different from you. That's all they're looking for. Once you become committed within yourself and you speak to them with that excitement and that passion, like I just gave you that illustration, if I would allow that gentleman just to give me his generic, roadblock of saying, well, I ain't got time. Well, how can you not have time and you broke? So therefore, you need to make time. Because I'm not talking about, being broke. I'm talking about making some money. And you calling me because you need some of my money. And I'm telling you, you can't get none of my money if you don't do business with me. Especially when I know your situation. So therefore, why am I working hard to grow my business when you can sit back and give your excuses, but then you need some of my resources? Isn't that what you used to tell people? Because you're like, okay, well, you come to me, you need some money. Well, here, 3 people. If I got to go do it, you got to go do it. I mean, You telling me you got a need, and I tell you I got a solution, but then you trying to get some of my resources, what's it going to, deplete me when I got children that need me. I got some goals in the future. I can sow that seed rather than put it in unfertile ground. Because you're talking about just feeding or eating for the moment. I'm trying to teach you so that you can be fed for a lifetime. Because I know once you consume this, you're coming back with some more. Uh-oh. That's my spiel. If you can't tell, I'm fired up about this thing. Yeah. Because you can't tell me how real or not real that this business is. You can't tell me. So therefore, less than slapping a person, I just try to educate and get them to open up their mind. So therefore, I don't accept excuses no more. Okay, have you made $1 million before? Are you currently got that type of cash flow that you telling me you really don't need no more money? If not, then you really need to open up your mind and pay attention. It's not that you have to, not boast and brag, but I'm telling you that you know what? If you're saying that you got a need, I got a solution, but you telling me you too busy to listen to what I'm saying, but you ain't living and producing what it is that you say you want out of life, to me, that's nothing but air. And I ain't got time for that. What I'm focused on is trying to help some people become financially free. Because I believe that there's more people like that gentleman that went in there and shot them people up. I know when we first got started in this business, I had a young lady sign up, and when she signed up, told me her need is she needed to pay her hospital bills for her daughter. She was so discouraged. She started robbing convenience stores, and now in prison. And this is a female. And my thought was, wow, if she would have just focused on her business. Now, she ain't can't focus on nothing other than what they tell her. But that's how the enemy is. Now, no animals were hurt making of that video. But I'll tell you, when he started that fire, I thought he was going to have some monkey brain. Yeah. But it was a situation where he was in control, being the establishment. Now, it's a matter of trying to open up the minds of people so that they can become free. When we look at this JMG network, we're talking about financial freedom. We're talking about helping people. But in the process, when you're helping somebody, you always have to remain encouraged because they're looking to you for strength. So therefore, you must be consistent because you're privy to the information that others don't have, that are not here to receive it. So don't be wishy-washy in your business because that's what they see. So make sure you make the commitment to be at the Tuesday meetings, at the training, whether you have guests or not. Why? Because we want to fill the room. I mean, if we had everybody that's actually in JMG, we would need this whole side. And how much more powerful? Think about it. If we had a room packed, standing room only, and guests coming, don't you believe that that would create a sense of urgency in their mind? Because they don't know who's in the business or not. That's why I don't like it, and I make sure I tell them, don't ask people to raise their hand who's a senior director, who's an ESD. Because then they can see who's in the business. They don't know who's in the business, who's not in the business. The only thing they know is that people are here to learn and see about a business that seems to be growing. So whether you have guests or not, whether you have them on the call, make sure you get on the conference calls. Because then they can hear people calling all in. One of the things I've always told people, I was always on the calls, always at the meetings, always at the training. That was even before I became a leader in the company. Why? Because I was learning. getting the information. As a result of that, then I began to speak the information and not even have to look at it, but just because I've heard it over and over again, it's been ingrained. So if I had to do that, you have to be willing to at least do that much if you want to earn at least the level I'm at in this company. You can't take the shortcuts. You can't pick and choose when you're going to be involved. And you can pick and choose, but then you can't expect the same results as somebody else. You can't expect for your business to grow because you're not giving it the proper respect and time that's necessary required in order to become successful in the business. This is just not a sidebar for me. I'm working my business daily because I'm working towards a goal. I'm working towards the future. So therefore, I have to sow it now. While it's still daylight, as the word says. I have to work now while it's still daylight. Because there will come a time when I can't work. Then it'll be too late anyway. So I want to bring up the next trainer, someone who needs no introduction, someone that has personally poured into me, you know, what is necessary in order to build this business. And he's always coaching me and guiding me. He gave me the game on people that, you know, come out to try it. You know, yeah, man, I'm telling you what's going to happen. I've been at this too long. And exactly what he said is what happened. But he'll never hit me with that, I told you so. We just move on to the next. Because we understand that it's really about continue to work. Because people will come and people are going to go. But we continue to stay focused on the prize and we continue to work towards the goal. And the reality and the truth is that people with that mindset aren't the ones that's going to take it to the next level anyway. So better that they fall to the wayside anyway. So I want you all to stand to your feet and welcome Brother Paul Jones.
Lock it down, lock it. Well, I really hope y'all got, you know, I get when people be teaching, I have to start taking notes. So if it look like I'm on my phone, it's got a notes app in there. And I just be like, man, that's good. And the greatness of that is, if I feel like I'm learning something new, then that tells me the information is relevant to these times. So I'm hoping you guys are soaking it in. A few housekeeping notes that we're going to have going on. I want us to be able to be at full attention. December 8th is a Saturday. Write that down, and I say, you know, a lot of times people say, oh, I had this going on, I had that going on. We're going to have a wealth day or a wealth conference. We're going to put all the details together and we'll work with the dear brother and the rest of y'all leaders, and we're going to have an all-day 9 to 5 wealth conference. So this is the thing that you want every leader at. So if they're in church, you go in and tell them, hey, okay, we'll go on December 8th, we at this. You know, if your job, tell them, because today October 13th. So Monday being the 15th, if you go into the job or anybody else and say, hey, I need December 8th off, that's planning, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll be at the Crown Plaza, you know, so it'll, you know, be approximately $20 to $25, you know, because we're going to think like entrepreneurs from now on, you know, and this is the thing that you want all your team at. One thing you want to do is you want to start marketing towards this event. You know, I don't care if I got to go get on the radio and talk to people about this wealth conference, how to get involved, call this number, whatever. If we got to run a commercial on KMOJ, call this number to attend this wealth conference. I'm going to use every aspect, every angle that I can. I don't care if the author, this and that. I'm using it to our own ability. Because once people understand, you know, if you can get the marketing pitch on this, you know, have a better understanding of how to eliminate debt, have a better understanding of how to manage your daily budget, have a better understanding of how to watch your credit and make it better and have a better understanding of the tax laws. Depending on what happens November 6th anyway, somebody better be ready to make some money.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a guy asked me the other day, it's like, man, what do you think about, you know, if this person get in and that person get in? And I said, you know what, with all due respect, I don't care. When a Republican was in, I had to feed my wife and kids. When a Democrat is in, I have to feed my wife and kids. Both of them taxed me, period. You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I hear all the hoopla, but I'm like, we have to position ourselves to make so much wealth that we're not fighting. Say, well, this guy's going to tax at this point. I had a guy yesterday talking about it. He says, well, man, you know, if you make over $2 million, then, you know, under this person's plan, you can tax this. So I just asked him, I said, when's the last time you made over $2 million? I said, let's get to the problem and then discuss it, okay? You know, let's not go and say, I told him, I said, because my mother, my uncle, my sisters, and all of them, they just don't have that. So no matter how wealthy I become, I still have to look out for them, you know? And if that means I just got to go work that much harder, trust me, there's a thing called offshoring. You hear them get around me for offshoring, right? I'm like, if your game ain't tight on money, then that's your problem. I'm not worried about no taxes. If anything, just make sure you pay them or you'll be locked up. You know, I've been through that issue. I ain't never been locked up, but I've been to the point where the government will come in and be like, seize. Hold on. You be like, dang, they take it, Sam, for real. I was just playing, man. I was just playing. Golly, that's all right. Yeah. So it'd be like, you know, it'd be like the Fed, what money? But honestly, write that day down, December 8th. Let's create momentum and build it up. You know, we'll also maybe that evening have a Christmas party or something. I'll leave that to the reps. You know what I mean? I just know that it's up to us to spark momentum. You don't wait for momentum, you create it. And yes, we'll be coming off of Thanksgiving, and we'll be going into Christmas. So I'm not emotional. I'm a businessman. You get what I'm saying? And if we want to go into that new year right, as I don't make solutions or resolutions, I make reservations anyway. So it's just a matter of you going to all your team and say, hey, just mark down December 8th. We ain't got no time to be playing. Be it every Tuesday, be it every Saturday, but let's mark down this date because that's the day that we all will be there teaching, leading, and educating people on how to have life be better. Y'all got that?
Yes.
So, any questions about the business? You know, I figure sometimes I'll never open the floor up to be like, anybody got any questions? What you've been through the week? You know, because yes, you.
I gave a young lady one of those tickets that Lucky gave us, and I said, I want you to come, and I'm not going to tell you about the business. I just want you to come and, you know, see for yourself. Because if I tell you, you may not catch it. The next day she came back and gave me the card back and said she wasn't interested. I said, okay, interesting. I didn't say anything. I just took it back and gave it to somebody else.
That's right.
It's just like you give them opportunity to see what it's about, see whether or not it would change their lifestyle. And she's struggling, she's a single mother, and she didn't see it.
At the end of the day, it's building value. If a person has no value for a better tomorrow for themselves, then there's no way that they're going to value what you and I are talking about. You know, one thing where, you know, sometimes I rub people the wrong way, and what they got to realize is I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? You have to be okay with it. I have no problem because my problem comes in is when my wife has a problem with me, and when my daughter and my son has a problem with me. Then I have a problem. You know, when my mother needs something back in Illinois, Wisconsin, and I can't assist, then I have a problem. You get that? But when other people have problems and they try to convert your thinking and your ways of life to their problems, what you got to realize is they're downsizing something that's valuable. So remember, we are business owners. Business owners commit. You get that? The day I said I'm going to start JMG Net Worth 4.5, 5 years ago, you got to realize that before we even launched it, the vision and the plan was already written down. That's the beauty of it. The only thing that we don't have yet that I'm going to work on to have by the second quarter, at least 2013, is my financial work is supposed to be hooked up to a debit card. That's really the only thing that I have not happened yet. Well, I can be honest with you. It's because the rep base isn't making it valuable enough yet. To do things when you're working with banks, you know, then there needs to be a certain amount of volume there. Because whereas a lot of times people are dealing with people on a regular level, on the average day, I'm dealing with bankers and high-level financial people. We can't go to them and say, oh, this person don't get it. What we're doing is we're saying, hey, value, and I'll put the word future. If the person has no value for the future, they'll always talk about the past. They'll never see it. In the beginning, when I first started, no one knew me as a guy who made millions. I wasn't known for that. I was just a guy who managed a Taco Bell restaurant. I did stuff in the music industry part-time. That's the guy they knew me as. They knew I detailed cars. If you wanted your car detailed, you called Paul and you brought your car out to his house because I would have your car Simonized, as they would say. You know, you could put a towel on your car and slide it off and it would just be smooth. So that's what I was known for. So can you imagine the day that I said to someone, hey, you keep your options open for making more money because I'm working with some folks who are serious about getting ahead in life. At that moment, they looked at me for who they thought they knew. Meaning, they didn't value anything about me yet. So what I had to do is I stopped being with people who didn't see the value. In business, there must be value. People who see value buy, commit, take action. People who don't see value sit back, procrastinate, as brother was talking about earlier. I don't sit with people who don't show that they believe in the value of where we're going. See, I value, you understand vision. If you understand vision, nothing is there that day. You know, one of the most simplest things that we hear, Noah, he built an ark. It didn't look like this rainy day today when he built it. People who get ahead because they start doing things before the storm hits. People who don't get ahead, they will try to stop you. And I'm the guy that's going, let me go now. I told you, I already told you. And I'm smacking their hand and they get mad at me for that. And I'm saying, that's not my problem anymore. You get that? Build value, show excitement, show passion. But don't let them bring you down. He just spoke on that. I took notes on it. You know, it's scripture too. They will bring you down. And what they're doing is they're saying, I don't understand living at that level. I had a lady ask me one time. She goes, well, when is enough enough? And I just looked at him like, did she just say that to the son of slaves? Did I just hear that? You know, 4.5 years later, 5 years later, a recession hits. And I'm like, oh, the recession hit me too. You get the point? And I'm like, you know what? That taught me something. I'm never going to sit down. I sat down so good, I gained 100-something pounds. You know what I mean? I'm on a decline now. And I'll tell you how it was done. Get to a certain point where you got so much, never depending. We know the word of God said don't count your money, right? Don't depend on your money. When people get back to the point, they're like, oh, I got so much money, I'm straight. I'm like, I made that mistake. I made that mistake. You know you got millions in the bank. You sit down. Everything's comfortable. You in shape when you made it. You in good shape too, boy. You could do some things and I ain't gonna go there. Okay. All right. Praise the Lord. That's what she said. Praise God. When you realize that 1 year you gain 1 pound a month, you don't notice. It's just 1 pound. January, you picked up 1 pound. So what? February, you picked up 1 pound. So what? March, it was just 1 pound. It's unnoticeable. A year later, it was 12 pounds gained, right? Add 10 years to that. Now you're 120 pounds heavier than you were. And you're like, oh man, how did I do that? And you go back in your closet and you say, ooh, I remember when that fit. I remember when this fit. Then you say, okay, now I got to work it off. You know, it's harder to work it off. So when you get that attitude, or when you make a commitment, you know, I'll get around people, including my wife, bless her heart. She'd be like, well, you ain't got to go work out today. Hush, hush. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I cannot slack off. Because when you slack off, the same way that you were gaining 1 pound, you realize you can lose 2 or 3 pounds. You don't notice it because you want instant success. This is why people procrastinate in business. They slowly build themselves into a hole. Before they know it, they're in it. But they instantly want out, but they didn't instantly put themselves in that position. So it took me 3 to 5 pounds a month to build it. So what happens? A year later, you look, that boy done lost 40 pounds. Year later, keep doing it. Now I can sit back and say I've lost 80 to 90 pounds. So next year, by this time, I'll be 40 pounds lighter. That's still over 3 years. I had to change everything about habits that got me in that position. But I made the commitment now 2 years ago. You get the difference. People who don't make a commitment show that they don't value the possibility of the future. So I joke now that I was able to go and coach my son's football team. Well, I played the game. I have love for the game. But I'm telling you, when I watched that little joker run down the field and just block it for little James and clean another kid's clock, God bless that poor child. But I'm able to run and actually be able to jump and run when before I couldn't run without even stumbling because my stomach was, my stomach ain't small now. Picture this thing 100 and some pounds more. You off balance, you start running, when you stop, your stomach's still going. The momentum will trip you up. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So you gotta realize that certain things happen, but people who are unwilling to commit, get away from them. I promise you, they will always find a different reason. So I'm like, Brother Paulie, I need to talk to you. Brother William, I need to talk to you. You'll tell them, this is what you gotta do. And all this sounds like is the Pharisees when they was talking to Jesus.
All right. Come on.
Jesus got to the point, now you go read your own Bible, because the one I read, it got to the point where he started calling them hypocrites and brood of vipers. Now I can imagine in today's language, you would be something. Y'all like, Jesus speak like that? Well, they didn't speak like that back then. You got to go and translate it. He broke them off. Look, you son of a gun, you know good well my father said this and that, and you see the way you're playing. Now, if you're going to do it, do it. If you ain't going to do it, get to stepping. Ain't that what his word is saying? He corrected them. He kicked tables over. So everybody go around like, Jesus would have done it. No, Jesus would have kicked the table over and said, y'all quit playing over here. You are a business owner. You must conduct yourself only as that. You're not an employee. Employees want to sit down and have human resource conversations. I can't stand that. It's like, if it's time to let you go, you got to go. Why? I probably kept you on 2 or 3 months longer than I could. See, people don't understand. I've been in a situation where you're drawing on your line of credit to keep people employed longer than they should be. But because you don't want to lay them off, you do all you can. You drive yourself in a hole, keeping them. Then you say, hey, I'm at the point where I got to let you go now because I was hoping you would produce and pay for your own position. Then you let them go. Now they're going to cut you out anyway. You know what that do to a business owner? You're like, I ain't never doing that again from now on. So people say, man, Paul, you just cut folks off. Yep. It's like, why? You cannot succeed in business having a discussion with someone who does not understand business. You want to fail? It's real simple. Listen to people who want to start a business. You'll get exactly what they get. And those who never commit to a business will never understand those who do. That's why the Word of God even gives you a different parable about being equally yoked and unequally yoked. We must be mindful of that. If we're going to do something, you know the old saying I always say, fellas, if you want to kiss that girl, what do? Kiss the one that's leaning towards you. You're going for a kiss and she's doing all this. Well, that's confusing, baby. If I'm going to get a kiss, you're going to have to pucker up. Like I said, when I saw Angie Stone last week, I was like, Brother, like, he got big lips. I was like, no, I'm kissing you. You just don't get it, girl. Lord, look at that girl's lips. I'm like, for real, I just want to punch him. Right? But if I'd have went, because I don't have the authority to be in her space like that. Right? So if I'd have went in her zone and said, you know, don't let me get in my zone, you know, and play one of them games, she'd have been, oh, security. They're like, okay, who you are and what you are to get out. You just trying to kiss that lady. Well, you know what? That's the same thing now. You're in business. You got to go with people who are going with you. If not, they will drag you down, period. I'm behind a big semi the other day. And he, you know, was one of those trailers that has another trailer hooked up. Well, the back two tires on the second trailer somehow got locked into the brake space. So while all the other tires are moving, the back tires are smoking. So you're like looking at this, but the truck's so big and heavy, he don't realize it. It's just smoke. And I could tell he pulled over. And if you go on 35, you'll see for about 2 miles long, just tire marks of him dragging the back trailer because those brakes got locked into place. And I know he was probably like, what's wrong with this truck? What's wrong with this truck? And I'm like, you know what? People are doing that to you. They're saying, yeah, I'd like to have this, but I got another question. Hold on. And you just like, you know what? All we got to do is go ahead and get our 3 people. Now, you're business owners, right?
Yes.
They're not really paying $150, but you are the owner. You must be mindful. When a person procrastinates on the $150, what does that really teach you about them? That they did not save $12.50 a month for the last 12 months. See, I'm not a salesman, I'm a business owner. And when you want to become better at what you do, you have to understand what you market also. And sometimes people say, well, why aren't they getting in? Well, there's a few reasons. One, the number one reason, no matter what people give you, is to prove that they need the business more than they're willing to say. So they're not saving the $12.50 on average a month. Because when you see something, come on women, you've been in the mall,
Okay.
you seen that sale. It was something you always kind of wanted anyway. But this day is on sale. Now you know you got the money or the way of getting the money. You don't sit back and play with it. You be like, I'm getting this because the timing is right. And I just happen to have funds. But when you didn't put that $12.50 up per month, the timing can be right and everything. The price can be perfect, but you can't get in on the sale. So you miss out on the perfect opportunity, which is building the value. You can't get the future that you want. We have something powerful in our company. We want to build a culture of people who do not think with poverty mindsets. I don't have a poverty mindset. So if you want to see a clash, bring a person with a poverty mindset around me. I've always had a strong tongue, and I always walked off in the middle of people talking to me anyway. They're like, did he just walk off? It's like, yeah, he's got a vision, a focus, a plan. The minute you start speaking against him, I don't need no bolt the lightning and strike down. I'm like, I don't need all that. You just spoke against the vision. I gotta go. It's like, why? I'm not your master. I'm your friend. I'm your business partner. You get that? I believe all of what God said about me, but I also know how the traps get set that he taught. So people look at Job. As last week I had to educate a person. And they said, well, you know, the Lord give it, the Lord take it away. And I said, do you really understand what you just said? And I'm like, my commitment to you all as business owners, that's why I say training is for business owners, because guests won't get it. And I'm not here to entertain guests, I'm here to entertain business partners. Let me break it down for you. If you really understand the story of Job, then you'll understand that God was having a meeting with some of the angels and some of the leaders. And all of a sudden, he looked up and there's Satan. He asked him, where you come from? Satan replied, man, I came from here and there. So God's talking and basically explaining that how good everything is, obviously, because Satan stepped up and said, what about your servant Job? Right? He challenged God. God said, Job believes in me so much that there is basically nothing you can do to deter Job from believing. So he said, well, let me prove to you, God, that Job doesn't believe in me this much. See, we got to quit reading things from a poverty mindset and read this real story of what happened. He said, okay, go ahead. I'll let you waste your time. You can't kill him. Well, that's all I want, God. Just don't let him kill me. You get this? God said, all right, go ahead. Waste your time. You ain't going to change him. I know he believes in me. You just can't kill him. So, did Satan have to even follow God's rules? Yes. He said, all right, I'm going to let him have it. So, Satan went and did all these things that caused all this havoc onto Job. Y'all get this? Yes, Job said the Lord gives it and the Lord takes it away. But Job don't know the conversation that God and Satan have already had. But that was him saying, no matter if I'm up, no matter if I'm down, I know who I believe in and I know who's going to bring me out of this situation. So Job's wife, she starts tripping. She looked at him like, man, please, you sure this guy ain't working? Because we done lost kids, house, and all. He said, woman, be quiet. Y'all get this. This is the word. Anybody want to debate me on it? Get your sword. I'll battle you all day on it. Job kept on going. Feet sore, swelling up. Everybody's like, he must have been doing something wrong. But ain't that what people do when you go through something? He must not be. Brother Locke must not be following God because he wouldn't go through that. Brother Newman must not be following God because he wouldn't be going through that. Oh. But if you understand and read all of the story, they started talking about it. What did Job do? He prayed for them. He wished well on them. He didn't wish no ill feelings. And because he showed himself approved, at the end of the story, what happened with Job? He got double. So if the Lord gave it and take it away, then that means you're about to get double for your troubles. I shout if I go down. I refuse to have a poverty mindset or get with people who try to justify anything of God's word to be less than abundance. His word said he can bless you more than you can imagine or think. So that means I talk about building a multi-billion-dollar company. Do you realize that my mind, according to scripture, still does not have the capacity to imagine or think on God's level? So I might as well go ahead and imagine and think as big as I can and realize that that still ain't imagining and thinking big enough. So when you get people who sit around and say, I'm going to take away from thinking and I'm not going to use my imagination, then I'm like, well, good, stay over there because you're going to be in poverty for the rest of your life. Knowledge and wisdom creates wealth, right? I'm going to ask this again. Does knowledge and wisdom create wealth?
Yes.
Great. So now you understand that there are 4 elements to creating wealth. See, when a person is a part of GMG Net Worth, they're part of something big. They'll step out and they'll be a leader because they understand the future of where things are going. They understand the timing. So, number 1, in life, tax advice and return preparation. No matter what you do in life, you got to pay taxes. So I don't want to have to go give a sales pitch. So, Ms. Bertha, as you said, the young lady said she is not interested. Well, what you just met was an ignorant person. Because an educated person would find out what they're not going to be interested in, then tell you, I have a different route. See, I have no choice but to be interested in paying taxes, whether I like it or not, because it's the law. And if you are 18 and over and don't pay your taxes, what happens to you in the United States of America? You go to jail. So therefore, because I am not into working that hard anyway, okay, let's just keep it real, shame the devil, do all of that. If you're not really interested in working that hard, it doesn't make sense to take the route of least existence, of least resistance. I don't want to be struggling that hard, so I'm going to educate you and say, look, in this service, you'll create wealth by understanding wealth. You hear so much of wealthy people talking about taxes that we should hear the underlying message that they must be talking about the money and the wealth is in taxes. So therefore, I have to make sure that our number one product has something to do with bettering on taxes. So let's go and understand it. Tax advice and return preparation. Income, deductions, returns, file and organize. You know, the first income tax ever was in 1404 in England. You got to understand where we're descendants from. You know, the first U.S. income tax started during the Civil War to help raise money back in 1862. There are over 7 million words in the tax law and regulations. That beats the Gettysburg Address, the Declaration of Independence, and the Holy Bible all rolled into one. So, smarty pants, that's what you say to anybody else. If you tell me that you got it locked down on taxes, then you tell me you understand that much stuff, because I don't even understand that much stuff. So you have to be in tune with those who do. There is no reason for a person not to be on this service. Not just for a networking opportunity, that's secondary. A person should be on a service, period, because they need to be on this service, period. Why would you go and spend $300, since you go and spend $300 to get your taxes done at the end of the year and not make money on it, or not have other services and products with it? Can you just say common sense? This is a common sense product. 21% of paper returns have errors. Most people don't even realize that. 0.5% of the e-file returns have errors. Do your taxes from doing taxes electronically. There are 114,000 employees at the IRS. That's more than the CIS or the FBI. So if there's 114,000 people regulating all these words over you, do you see how big of a business that really is? So when people sit back and say, oh, my friends do my taxes, or we got our own, I just sit back and look at them like, did you actually just say that to me? So you are okay with paying something and not benefiting from it? I'm like, if I could get paid just for eating, we gonna do it. You get my point? I like to eat. If we can get paid for breathing, then I'm gonna make sure that we're there at JMG Network. See, I don't want us working hard, I want us working smart. That's why you have to be business oriented and business minded. I made a commitment, especially being in New York last week and seeing some of the things. I'm like, people are doing so much better than folks around that we think. I'm like, oh no. Only spend time with people who are going. Never spend time with people who are trying to figure it out. I'm gonna repeat that again. Only spend your time with people who are going. Never spend time with people who are stuck trying to figure it out. Because you don't need to figure taxes out. It's already figured out. You either get in, take care of your stuff, and be consistent at it, or you start losing. Moving on. Benjamin Franklin on November 13, 1789, wrote the following to Gene Baptist report. Our new Constitution is now established and has an appearance that promises permanency. But in this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes. So, you are a business owner. You see it from that perspective. If something is certain to happen, no matter what in life, wouldn't you want to get paid off for it? So when people say, oh, what are y'all selling? I'm like, I don't have to sell what I got. I just tell you. I show you. And then the funniest thing is those who understand wealth understand this the most. Does that make sense? Yes. Those who don't understand creating wealth, that means they had an income, okay? I got entertainer friends who had high incomes, but when the record label stopped paying them, their income went. They never created wealth. People who created wealth understood things from a different perspective, so therefore they did their taxes from a different perspective. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. 2, daily budget tracker. We know it. We call it wealth management. That's what this is. So your daily budget tracker, number one, is an expense reporting. Every smart and wise business person has expense reporting. You know, spend on purpose, not on habit. Understand the 24/7 theory, expense and income, and manage your cash flow. People end up in financial trouble because they're not managing their cash flow. Some of this, why this service exists, is because I've made those mistakes. But the difference is I never get bitter. I'm like, oh, I see what I should have did. And I'm like, oh man, if I had a high net worth and went through this, I know what people are going to go through. You know, because a lot of people talk about making money. You know, Sarah named me Brother Wallace. A lot of people talk about making money, but they don't understand the full concept of wealth. When you budget yourself, that means you have a plan in budgeting yourself. But if you don't have a plan to budget yourself, then you know you get to the end of the month and say, man, it just ain't enough money. My ends don't meet. I always look there and say, well, how did you know your ends weren't going to meet? Everything about me is on a budget. If I expect a budget to be met, if I go off 1 penny, the budget's messed up. So I know exactly what the budget is for this month and next month, actually for the next 4 months. You know, I know exactly what I want the expected growth to be for the company. But it's only because I'm not a genius, I just follow it in the system. I have a daily budget tracker. I know how much I can spend today. And there's been days where it's like, I had to sit back and be like, I'm over budget, I can't spend today. And you know what? I don't spend that day either. So the same way as you can chop down weight, you just get self-discipline. The word budget comes from the French word budget, a little bag, which is a wallet in which either documents or money could be kept. Builds wealth, builds discipline and organization. Without easy to read data, there is no way of knowing what is going on. Most people pay bills when they get money. That's the wrong way. Budget your bills. Budget the expected growth from your receivables. Then that way you already know this month is going to work perfect. You have to also budget, which I can't stand it, but it happens. That flat tire, the broken down car, or this happened, that happens. You even have to budget that reserve. In our system, it will say miscellaneous. I purposely said we need a miscellaneous in there. So you could say miscellaneous costs $100 or $200 per month. Then at the end of the month, you can pull from the miscellaneous or keep it there. You know, without a budget, how do you know that you're going to meet your goals? So we've always taught if a person just was on the My Financial Work service, even if they didn't build the JMG Network distributorship, over time they would be wealthy anyway. Now you can't go find another company in the industry to say just use the product and you'll still have wealth from following directions. Oh, that doesn't exist. So that's why I always say, no, we are the best company in the industry. Number 3, debt payoff plan, because we need to get out of debt. Debt payoff plan, your creditors, interest and fees, payment arrangements, paid in full. We don't want payment arrangements, we want to pay them off. We don't want interest and fees working against you. You don't want to be calling, you don't get one of the biggest interest fees is an overdraft fee. Well, you don't get that extra interest fee called an overdraft fee if you're managing your daily budget. So they all work together. Then you become debt-free by doing things in its right principle. So your creditors, you want to get rid of the creditors. If anything, as the Word of God said, you want to be the lender, not the borrower. So therefore, you want to be the creditor. Daily budget tracker, understand this. Debt slavery has become a way of life for tens of millions of American families. So people say, you know, it tells you in Proverbs, are you, or to ask you a question, are you the slave to the lender? You know, the rich rule over the poor. People get mad, but it's the truth. The rich rule over the poor because they're the ones lending. And therefore, sit on their rich. You don't have to go on a plantation now. They get to tell you. They get to go to the courts and control you because you allowed it to happen. And that's where I had to look at things. It's like if I make a mistake, I would be like, oh man, they ain't tripping on me or this and that. No, I allowed that to happen because I knew the rules from the beginning. So I have to do two things. One, this is how great JMG Network is. One, you can manage your whole personal aspect of your life better for the Black Financial Service. And two, you can increase your monthly revenue and weekly revenues by building a system to show others how to manage and make their life better. There ain't nothing better than that. People come calling you about, oh, I got this travel thing, I got this pill, you eat this pill and you drink this pill every day, you'll feel better. It's like, you know what, I ain't took no pills, I just got a lifetime. I just started eating better. You know what, and I feel just as good as those that's like, I'm too lazy to go do anything. Now I'm too smart not to. I'll leave that alone. Overall, Americans are carrying a grand total of $798 billion in credit card debt. That's crazy. Right now, there are more than 600 million active credit cards in the United States. There's only 340 million people in the United States. That many people are leveraged on credit. So people say, oh, I'm fine. No, it's pride. See, I can tell you, you want to know the secret to creating wealth? Swallow pride. I stopped having pride a long time ago. When I was struggling financially, it's like my sister who was coming at me a few months ago, and she's like, well, they always helped you in this and that. And when you was in college, they helped you. Nobody helped me. And then I said, hold on, let me ask you a question. Did you ask for help? I said, no, for real. Well, people do. I said, don't blame my uncle. Don't blame my mother. Did you call and ask for help? No, I did. I'm sorry. You can tell me no. And I'm gonna respect that, but I'm gonna say, Brother Locke, I need your help. Sister Pat, I need your help. Brother Wallace, I need your help. I didn't have pride like that. You have to be willing to ask the question. Do you keep your options open for making more money? Yes or no? They say no, go to the next person. You keep your options open for making more money. Yes or no? I don't put all that weight into people like that. But I never function in pride. So because a person that have pride, they sit there waiting, well, they still knew. So you mad at them because they didn't read your mind. I'm like, wow. And you mad at me because I asked. And it's funny that the word of God say, you have not because you asked not. I like getting a no because then I know, ain't no W. You know, so I get the N-O, which no is short for knowledge. Now I'm knowledgeable that this person cannot help me. So I don't have to sit back and be bitter. All these years I found out that somebody was bitter because I got help and they didn't. I'm like, what? You function in pride and maxing out credit cards, and I wasn't. I was going there and say, help me out. So I ain't got to go do what she doing. So therefore, I'll never look to appear that I'm doing at a certain level. I'll just always like, look, I'm building this business. This is what I'm doing. Things ain't got off the ground as good as I want. This is where I need help. You get that? So when you get around people and you want them to build a business with you, if they're like, I don't want them to really know my situation, you know what? God bless you. Boom. It's like, why? You're going to hold up the whole process. And it ain't about when people say that it takes 3 to 5 years. Who said that lie? I can do this in 7 days. Remember, how do you know if they don't budget? When they procrastinate and show they don't have $150. Now, that's not for any of us as leaders because we Christians first. We don't never beat somebody down because why? At one time, I didn't have it. You get my point? We have to educate them that they need to change this process. That's all we're doing is we're educating people. And we got to ask them, say, okay, did you save an average of $12.50 a month? Honestly. Okay. Give me $150, I give you $175 right now. If they got to hesitate, that's a missed opportunity. Well, I just don't know. That must be a trick. Sometimes that's how life goes. So give me $150, I give you 25 on top of your 150. As the old players used to say, 150 get you 175, 150 get you 175. What you got? What you got? It's like 150, 175 back. All right, cool, let's do it. You know, when they don't have that, then you have to respect it and then say, hey, can we work with you to get you in this situation. But therefore, are you committed to build your future? Do you value your future? If they're not committed to building the future, then that means they have no value in the future. So therefore, they'll do all the things that got them in a bad situation anyway. Does that make sense? There is one credit card company out there, First Premier, that charges interest rates of up to 49.9%. Amazingly, First Premier has 2.6 million customers. I'm like, they need to be on the daily budget tracker for real, as well as the debt payoff plan. People are paying all that money in interest. So I want y'all to see something that I see. I've always said we want to be a billion-dollar company, right? Almost 800 billion in credit card debt. Do you see what I see? If we can show those people how to do something to eliminate the debt, you're all multimillionaires. So when folks out there with pride, you have to understand the mindset of psychology. Like, you know what, I get it. You're walking in pride, you want me to know that you got all this debt, but we know what the facts say. We know that 50% of the country is walking around with too much debt already. We know that just in business numbers. So most people mistake and make JMG Network a network marketing company. No, we are a wealth building company. So when they try to compare us to another company, like, so you have to recruit that person to make money, huh? Yeah, well, we get referral fees. But if you just come into this system and follow the system, you'll make money anyway by doing what you should be doing. That's called a win-win situation. But do you see the billions right there? It's inevitable. We just go out and do what we're supposed to do. We make it anyway. Last but not least, credit restoration and identity theft and monitoring. Folks don't understand credit. Let me give y'all some game on credit. Credit scoring didn't even start to the 80s. Before the 80s, it was because you went to that local bank and they knew you off of your name, you banked with them, and they would give you a loan, period. But the minute they said, okay, we're going to go and form big banks, bigger banks, and they got in cahoots with the big bank, Central Bank, and they just said, okay, now, and I want y'all to pay attention to something that already happened, so we can just use common sense and go and build our business. We're going to judge everyone based on a score, a credit score we're going to give them. They get the credit score. Now it says, and it's something funny that I learned. You are judged by the neighborhood you live in when it comes to car insurance. So I have friends who have put my home address on insurance and have gotten a better rate because they said they live out basically where I live. And I would look at that and I'm like, man. And then they would double up and charge them more because the credit was somewhat blemished because they didn't understand credit anyway. You're just like, wow. See, I've heard this before, and I've probably even said it in my lifetime. People will pay the late fee and be late, but they'd be happy that they actually paid it. When I realized it because they paid it 30 days late, although they paid the little late fee and all that, but you got dinged and your credit score drops. So now when something else comes, here you are ready to go buy a different car or buy something else, and they charge you a higher interest rate. So a car that should be $700 a month for a payment for personal bad credit, they're paying $950. That $250 can go towards eliminating debt or an investment somewhere else. I've always said, if you take your child at birth and put $10,000, by the time that child is 45 years old, that child will have 1.2 something million dollars. And then we sit back and say, how do these people maintain wealth? Well, those who don't do something to maintain wealth, they stare at that 10,000 sitting over there, and they constantly look at it, and they look at it, and they look at it, and they're like, man, well, you know, we're going through something right now, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and get the baby's money. Well, what you've actually done is you eliminated the child's wealth and the deleting of poverty in your family. Wealthy people give their children certificates when they're born. They don't just throw a big party and all that. They're like, okay, you're born, move some of that trust money into their name. That's what we need to do, again, in Networth with our grandchildren and so forth. We need to understand what we're doing for our children. So one thing that I school my 17-year-old daughter, I'm like, look, baby, at 17, you're worth more than the average 50-year-old in this country. So when the little boys come around, don't be mad at daddy. When he's like, who is he? And who is mom and daddy now? I'm like, I'm sorry. I was like, why? Because I know I've worked hard and I know that you're retired already. And guess what? She's at work right now. You're like, she's at work? Yeah, make her go to work. She's at Caribou Coffee. Why? I want her to understand everything. You know what? When you can work and don't have to, that's a different character than when you are working because you have to. You get the difference? Now she's appreciating her money. Hold on, I ain't getting my personal testimony. Credit restoration and monitoring. We're going to get out of here. Your score, the bureaus, the history, delinquency. Let's break it down. The only way to build a credit history is to use credit. People who say, I'm messing with credit cards or nothing. I'm like, oh, you're going to be in poverty the rest of your life. The only ones who should say I don't use credit cards are already wealthy. Y'all get this? When you meet a person who has never created wealth and they say they're not going to mess with credit cards, number one, who put fear in them? And it's usually by watching the bill collectors and all that, so they say, I don't even want to participate. Or it's, how about understand a certain value? So you never want to buy a house? Why would you not buy a house? That doesn't make sense. You're going to rent for the rest of your life, you're throwing money away. You get that? When you get ready to move, be able to move and at least get some of your money back. Okay, your Experian credit score ranges from 330 to 830. A decent credit score is essential for your financial well-being because the higher it is, the less of a credit risk you are. That means you get better pricing and better rates. Delinquencies remain on your credit report for 7 years. So those people who are like, I'll pay it next month, and I'll make 2 payments. Yeah, but now you put a mark on you for 7 years for a temporary situation because you wanted to go to the concert or go on this family vacation and all that. So therefore, you just sit down and skip paying bills. And then when you got back off of doing what you were doing, you marked yourself for 7 years. And then it took you 60 days to fix the problem. So you take 60 days of trouble, and now you're marked for 7 years. And it's just like, people don't even know that that's what they're doing. But they got the audacity to be like, well, I'm going to hold off on Jam being at work. I'm like, you tripping. You can't afford to hold off. You have to be mindful. My mother is debt-free. You get this? We was doing something, and I was like, Mom, we're going to help you out. We're going to put a reverse mortgage so you can go ahead and retire. And then from there is, we'll sell the house because she's 71 years old. Do you realize? Because it's in her title name, she has to be on the mortgage. She has not had debt for 10 years. Her credit score is 0. She couldn't move it. I was arguing with the bank. Like, you mean to tell me somebody that worked all their life got to a point, and now that they paid everything off, including the house is paid off, thanks to her baby. Praise God. Now, she can't even do a reverse mortgage because she has a 0 credit score. Because she has not had debt for 10 years. And I'm like, that's crazy how the system works. It ain't right, but it's the way it is. So now you get it, it's like, all right, so keep some little stuff going on that you pay it anyway. So therefore, when you want to do certain things, you can go do it. And that means having an open line of credit, even if you don't use it. Y'all get that? I have a few lines of credit that I pay bills on every month just to pay them off at the end of the month. Why? Just to make sure they see some good stuff, and then my score stays up there. If you let your score flatline or let your debt flatline, it's literally doing that. So be mindful. Most public record record items remain on your credit report for 7 years, although some bankruptcies may remain for 10 years and unpaid tax liens remain for 15 years. We have a system that helps do all of that. Inquiries remain on your report for 2 years. So you went and just said, I might buy this flat screen at Best Buy. Now that's on there for 2 years. When you know your stuff is good, it's not just an inquiry, it's a purchase because you did everything right. You're dealing in your daily budget tracker, you're working in your debt payoff plan, you understood everything about your credit, and you're doing the taxes right. And all of this is working on one full spectrum. Now, peak game on this. Highest credit scores. Minneapolis is #1. People have good credit here. So what does that mean? They need to be monitoring even more. Because if the credit is good here, what would identity theft happen more? I mean, if you want to go down to Texas and Jackson, Mississippi, where credit is worse, all that tells me is win-win. Down here, they need to fix the credit. Up here, they need to keep monitoring it. JMG Network is both. So, #1, Minneapolis, Minnesota. 2, Madison. 3, Wausau, Wisconsin. 4, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. 5, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 6, San Francisco, California. 7, Green Bay, Wisconsin. 8, La Crosse, Wisconsin. 9, Boston, Massachusetts. 10, Duluth, Minnesota. We need to keep going up. Lowest credit scores. Harlingen, Texas. Jackson, Mississippi. Corpus Christi, Texas. Shreveport, Louisiana. Monroe, Louisiana. Louisiana is burned up. Augusta, Georgia. El Paso, Texas. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Memphis, Tennessee, and Savannah, Georgia to top off the top 10. These folks down here need the My Financial Worth service and the Marquise. Are you paying attention? They need the My Financial Worth service and the business JMG Net Worth because they need to increase their income and have the service. All you're doing is getting that extra check. Let's put your business on steroids. Okay. Up here, they need the service for sure to maintain the goodness that they have. See, we're not a company of saying we're just going to make the credit better. Once everybody has a net worth, there's 2 other things that I still haven't brought on yet. As I said earlier, #1, a debit card. The My Financial Worth debit card where you go and swipe your own card and it automatically updates your daily budget tracker. So you don't even have to do it on the fly. See, we got to grow with the times too, right? Right. That means we have to expand our rep base to justify it with the banks that I'm working with also. And to make sure, and that's why we put a price on it, to make sure we ain't got no confused individuals trying to trick the debit card system either. All right? I don't been through enough of that too. Credit restoration, identity theft, and monitoring. We have all of that in one service. Now, let me give you guys wisdom on something. There's a company that just has a daily budget tracker. They charge $19.95 a month. There's another company that just has identity monitoring. They charge $29.95 a month. There's another company that just does identity theft only. They charge $14.95 a month. There's another company that does credit repair. They charge $79.95 per month. My Financial Worth service with all of these are only $29.95 per month. You have not because you ask not. You have to educate people on this great service so that they'll understand that we have one service that covers taxes, daily budgeting, debt payoff plan, and credit restoration. All the other companies that I've mentioned are multi-million-dollar companies, and 2 are billion-dollar companies. LifeLock is a billion-dollar company. H&R Block is a billion-dollar company. FreeScoreReport.com, whatever it is, they do over $20 million a month in revenues. And when I understood that, I'm like, we're killing all of them. So therefore, what I'm saying to my business owners and business partners, commit to people who are committed to valuing their future. If they're not committed and showing that they want to fix the $12.50 a month problem, you cannot string along, because it's going to be like that big semi where the back tire's locked up. They're going to hold you down. You have to be in business with people who are in business with you. Does that make sense? You know, sometimes we like to talk because we know, because my goal is over the next few months, especially on December 8th, when we had this advanced full-day training, you're going to know everything, even more in detail about taxes and debt and credit and the whole nine. So not only are you running a JMG Network business, but you're increasing your own wisdom on how things work. Now, that makes you better in general no matter what you do in life, right? There's nothing wrong with that, because I'm a geek when it comes to information. I geek out on stuff like this. I'm like, what? Credit scoring didn't even start to the 80s? Then I'm like, oh, that's crazy. So then they went and they said, let's go give all these people loans, no income, no asset verification, don't even count your credit score. Let's give it to them. Let them state it. We're going to do this for 3 years. And in 3 years, we're going to adjust everything. Then when everything adjusted, we put all of the people out and kept their credit score. But what happened for the banks? They got bailed out. You must understand what happened. The banks got a raise. You get this? If I could give money, have you not pay me, get my money back anyway, and then come back and say, now I'm going to give you money, but you got to understand, George Bush, in the beginning of his second term, changed the bankruptcy rules and laws. He made it actually harder for you to claim bankruptcy. The setup was already going on. I'm not going to say, oh, conspiracy. I'm going to say, hey, let's get paid from it. I don't have time to, like, brother, this is what the black man started. Save all that. Let's get paid. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to die one day. Death and taxes. We got to get paid from it. But did you see this? Go do your own research. This stuff happened. So now, the economy's leveling off. Everything's getting good. All these people have bad credit. And now they're saying interest rates at the lowest rate possible. But not for you. Only for those who didn't fall for the yoke. We have to be mindful that we have a service that combats all of that and keeps us in the mindset and education to know what's going on, and you get paid for it. I mean, think about it. You get paid to go to school. So understand, it's a cycle. Asset ownership. You're growing, planning, wealth dynamics, all of that's happening, all to create wealth in the middle of it. All you're doing is creating wealth from the My Financial Work service. You are in a win-win situation. Y'all understand it? So we are going to go on a crusade of helping people better themselves. But this isn't for people who don't have a job. This isn't for people, people make a mistake, ask somebody, send me an email, and I'll be honest with you, I don't have time to reply to them because we got so much going on in business, but it's my son isn't working. Is it a good way to get this, and can y'all accept checks? Who accepts checks? And I just looked at it, I can't even reply to that because then it leads to debate. You get what I'm saying? It's like, no, sorry, you need to go to church, you need to get counseling, you need to do something else. This is a business. I started as this is not a community service program. We're not funded by the state. You get the difference. I don't even agree with welfare. I respect it, I understand it, and I was on it at one time. You get my point? But I understand that after so long, you start handicapping people. So you have to do something and say, come on, let's go. Let's go. We got you. Bring 3 people with you. Well, the people I know, get to know 3 other people. For $1 million, question of the day. For $1 million, are you willing to go get to know 3 other people? That's how I made a move. I did not spend any time But the naysayers, those who want to tell me how other companies work, I wasn't in those companies, and they're not succeeding in those companies anyway. So it's like common sense. You know what I mean? Have you ever had somebody talk about you? If you know you don't care, why even turn around and be like, what you say about me? I don't care. I'm not going to fight you. You might beat me. You know, I don't want to get beat up. Anybody ever been hit before? That hurts. Right? I'm like, dude, I don't care. Say what you're going to say. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to give you time because you may be a demon. And a demon's job is to destroy you. What you do as a business leader is you set the bar, you set the standard, and you say, this is what you need to do. Why? Those are the qualifiers. Y'all get this? So Tuesday night, y'all bring all your qualified people to the meeting. Those who are fighting you to stay back, you have to leave them there. One of my mentors, Harriet Tubman, when I read the line, when a person asked her, what was the hardest thing about freeing the slaves for her? And she said, freeing the slaves was easy. It was convincing them that they could be free was hard. And I was like, oh, I can so relate. Making you $1 million is easy. It has been convincing you that you can make $1 million is what's been hard. So we don't spend time with the unwilling. We spend time with the willing. Let's not wait for next week. Anytime you see that, that's not even biblical. Well, I'm gonna wait till next week. Jesus himself, like, well, how do you know you're gonna be here next week? Because nobody knows. You need to make a commitment, go do it. And it's called stepping out on faith. Do y'all get this? So you want to team with business people who are willing to step out on faith. Does this make sense?
Yes.
So if they're not willing to step out on faith, what is that telling you? It's telling you that they have no faith. It has nothing to do with JMG Network. We already paid the price. We know this works. You get the difference? Brother Lockett would not have an Escalade if it didn't work. You know, so sometimes you got to let common sense hit you sometimes. You know, people are like, well, do you really think it works? So this man driving almost $100,000 truck and you wanted it to work? Wow. Go to the store and fill out a credit app and buy you one.
Okay.
When they decline, you come back over here. And we'll show you how to get it without you needing to even pay. Come on, common sense, right? We need to be wise business owners. You got to have your vision. We'll leave y'all with that. Without a vision, it's not going to happen. Spend time with business leaders. You know, whether the December 8th event is 15, 20, or 25, not only get your ticket, but get your ticket for your team. Make sure they're all there. Then from there, get your guests there. That will be the only training that we will allow guests there because it's about showing them how great we are as JMG Network representatives. You get what I'm saying? So now, because I'm like, look, I'm not going to let nobody cause me to not praise myself either. You know, it's like, yep, I made millions in this industry. I wrote books. I got the whole thing. And last week, it just hit me. I'm like, man, I'm out here talking it up. And they know JMG people. No, JMG, y'all. Like, I'm doing this at home. And I'm like, you know what? You're wealthy. Don't sit back because they're going to play you on that holiday season thing. Don't get caught up in that. When a person says holiday season, that is a proof that they have not been financially planning to get ahead in life. Wealthy people get ahead, period. You get this?
Right.
So I've been through it for 15, 16 years. I just know it. I've been through it. I've heard it all. And at the end of the day, if you get in and you don't work and make millions with us, then the action speaks louder than the words. Y'all got that? Yes, ma'am.
So when we have this on December 8th, you say, you know, bring your people and stuff, so the guests are free or the guests are free to the
Everybody pay, man, because we don't feed them.
Oh,
Yeah, if a person can't see paying $20 to get the information, that's fine. I don't want them there anyway. Yeah, that's that. It's just kind of, we're not, that's what I say, we're not a state-ran company. Because I actually see that mindset coming in, and I just look at folks and I'm like, y'all get to know me. I don't even get into that. I don't go and do the grant stuff. I made my money working hard. I'm gonna show others how to do it. And then protect your assets so that you never have to go through some of the stuff that I've already been through. So a lot of my financial work service is for me making mistakes. See, I'm a first generation millionaire. What that truly means, for those who don't understand, is nobody else in my family had done it. So who's to tell me? If you're the first to do something, then you don't really know what to do with money. So I blew a lot of it. I invested in dumb stuff. I had 7 cars, all new. I had $1 million worth of cars, that's for real. You know, and now I look at that, I'm like, what you thinking? I remember the neighbor come up and said, man, you work at a dealership? I'm like, no, I thought that was a compliment. Later I look back like, what, that was the dumbest thing you ever could have done. Right? So now from doing that, I'm able to go and say, look, I don't know, all you did is make, and the funniest ones for me to deal with is training done. I just talked to you and answered her question. The funniest ones for me to deal with is those that make 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 a year. And I'm like, so you make 100,000 a year? And I'm like, you said it to a guy who made it a month. And I'm like, and you respect them. And you're like, so you make 100,000 a year, so now you're telling me that you're okay. And I'm like, man, so you wouldn't be willing to make 100,000 a month? Because go to New York and try to make 100,000 a year. Go to LA and try to make 100,000 a year. That's minimum wage. So while you being the big guy here, you're a little guy there. So we have to educate folks, show them love, regardless. Don't ever do me that favor, because I'm never going to disrespect anybody either. I will walk off from them. But don't ever disrespect anyone. Show them an example. People don't know God. They know him through you. People don't know if you're serious about making them wealthy or helping them out of their situation, but they'll know through your character. So we have to go and do the walk part right. And the only thing I ask y'all to do, as I said in the beginning, is respect Brother Lockett's time. Because it's one thing that I know. When you got a guy that's already a millionaire and doesn't need to do this business, then I'll actually come around and I watch people, because I'm not here all the time. But he is, isn't he? I wasn't there Tuesday night, right? He was there, right? I wasn't here last Saturday, and I wasn't here last Tuesday. He was. You get the difference? So I'll sit back when I come around, and I'm like, what they did? And this guy has a direct contact. So if you got a question, contact him. So I go out, I'll do so many things in a day that he's aware of that I'm like, Brother Lockett, what should we do next? Before I even make a decision now, I'll call him. Like, what you think the brother think about this? You get the difference? So I want us all to show appreciation, and I want us to work as a council of business owners, because we can't just say, you know what, Brother Lockett's going to take care of it. I actually want us to increase ourselves every month and phase him out. Now, what I mean by phase him out, meaning he's still a leader in the room, but who else wants to step up and get in front of the room? Do you know, and I'm not going to pick on any women, but do you know to this day we have not had a consistent female leader yet? We have one woman, Sister Shelley, way back in the day, come in and said she's going to do whatever. She got in front of the room a few times and her husband took her out. Got jealous because why? We still got to plan trainings and do all of that. I'm like, for real? And then I just saw her whole life just kind of trickle down. And I'm like, we're still here. So I want all of us to get up, because there's certain things about I know who pays the bills in the average home. It's not the man, it's the wife. You understand that? Including my house. I give my wife the money, she takes care of it. You know, and she has no problem coming back and telling me it's not enough sometimes. You know? So we have to get those leaders. Everybody needs to be leaders, step in, take the pressure off. Run your business like a business. Know that every month you got a plan to say, okay, this month I had only one rep come in. Next month, I have to make sure that there's 3 that comes in. And you do everything in your power to make sure that you are watching your business grow every month. Do y'all get this? Because you are a business owner. There is no rule that says this needs to take 5 years. You know, when I hear that, that's from a trainer who gets paid from you, paying for his trainings. Do y'all get that? So they're telling you, come around for 5 years. Well, I'm not a trainer that's telling you to do that. Nobody paid anything to come in these doors, did you? See, and I've been in these big corporate trainings where they actually hire us and pay us top dollar to come in. And that's why I say, for me to say $20, I've been in stuff where they charge $200 per person, and it'd be 1,000-something people there. And they be in various companies, and all they do is they say, this guy's made millions in network marketing, he's did this, he's did that. Welcome Paul Jones, blah, blah, blah. I go out, speak for 15, 20 minutes. The whole place is erupting, and it'd be leaders in all different sorts of companies in there. And then now they go and build their groups. I'll come back home to our group, And people don't realize is that, wow, y'all could just see what I can see. And I'm like, you know what? I'm about to go blow up. So I'm a lover when Winfrey rolling around this Escalade in bids. But that's minor. I'm gonna love it more when I know he's making $100,000 a month. I'm gonna love it more when people are looking and saying, that is a James Network millionaire. You get that? That is our goal. In order for us to be the billion-dollar company that we are going to become, you all have to make millions in more than one. Be mindful. If you're not that committed, that's fine, stay in and keep going, but you may sign up the person who will be that committed. So this, again, is a win-win. God bless you all later.
No, I'm not ready for this
That's a good Patricia that called me after one time. Yeah, you know that. And I don't see all the time, you know, this is the couch on names, you know. Obviously, Diana, but then I look at Patricia, I kept saying, Patricia, Minnesota, Patricia. I said, that's the Patricia. So,
The question is, do we be hearing Bertha from Minnesota?
Yes, you do.
yeah, I heard from here. Now, last couple of weeks,
She was like, don't get on me.
now, Bertha disappeared for a minute. But
Yeah.
last couple of weeks she's been on. I hear her on.
That's my girl. I pick on the guy like
Minnesota. But I don't know how you doing.
That's right.
One time you had somebody on the side with you on the phone on the conference call.
I'm always there.
Yeah.
I mean, I always, but I get on, but I usually don't say nothing, so I make calls.
But you get it.
I know, I did, I just say.
Get ready. That's right.
Sure.
I see the people I know, but I'm like, I'm trying to get
It's Brittany. Wonderful.
I like it.
Okay. You got it. Okay, you did, darling. Okay.
Well, Marquise called me today, and
I don't use that in the speech.
Yeah, that's yours, Red. You know that.
And then get that district. But see, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna get them to go. They look at